today's video, the place where persistence beats resistance, and today's lesson or topic, the book Sex at Dawn. So there's some interesting facts in there about how our ancestors used to live, and it's a battle between our ancestors were this type of way versus that they were this positive, utopian type of people, or were they these warmongering, bloodlusted people? And there's some very important points, and especially from the health and fitness side as well, which I've found in there. So we'll probably read some bits from the book as well, and I'll just give my opinion on it and see how I feel about it. But here is the book, Sex at Dawn, by Christopher Ryan and Casilda Jetha, if I pronounced that right. Okay, so there's a quote from the book. Two cavemen are shown chatting, one of whom is saying, "Something is just not right. Our air is clean, our water is pure, we all get plenty of exercise, everything we eat is organic and free range, and yet nobody lives past 30. So what I can gather from that quote is that back in the day, the hunter-gatherer societies, or I say the hunter-gatherers, I won't say societies, but hunter-gatherers, they have all this, organic, free range, air is clean, everything like that. But there's always this common conception that they don't live past 30 years old or 40 years old. And the book goes into detail and explains how that is just based on the amount of infants that are dying. So the amount of infants that die actually makes it look like we're not living past a certain age. But if you look at the people that have survived, they live on healthy lives and probably match our ages to this day. So what happened is the privatization of food and things like that. So we went from hunter-gathering to agriculture, and a lot of diseases and illnesses came from agriculture because, for example, we used to have cows, we had dogs, we had cats would come in, we'd make them domesticated animals, and a lot of illnesses have come from those animals, like tuberculosis, smallpox, influenza, pertussis, and the last one, malaria. And for example, it goes in this order, which is those come from cattle, rinderpest, cattle, cowpox, influenza came from pigs and birds, pertussis came from pigs and dogs, and malaria came from birds. But I think it's a different type of malaria than the one you get from mosquitoes, I don't know. But yeah, so the domestication and agriculture led to plagues and illnesses and diseases. For example, the Silk Road from Asia to Europe, that was the onset of, that brought a lot of plagues, and a lot of illnesses such as the bubonic plague came from that. And it's just once everything's compact, it starts to get a little more ill. So I read you a section from the book. When James Larrick and his colleagues studied the still relatively isolated Guarani Indians of Ecuador, they found no evidence of hypertension, heart disease or cancer, no anemia or common cold, no internal parasites, no sign of previous exposure to polio, pneumonia, smallpox, chickenpox, typhus, typhoid, syphilis, tuberculosis, malaria or serum hepatitis. This is not surprising as it may seem, given that almost all of these diseases either originated in domesticated animals or depend upon high density population for easy transmission. The deadliest infection diseases and parasites that have plagued our species could not have spread until after the transition to agriculture. So when everything's dispersed free range such as humans, when we used to live in our smaller communities, we never had these problems, and we will see as them being in poverty and things like that, our ancestors, but they never were, because when you look at it from a perspective, poverty and abundance is a mindset. If you look at a lot of people who don't seem to have much in terms of the Western eyes, they have an abundance mindset. The mindset is like, oh well, we have enough of this, we have enough birds, we have enough nuts, we have enough fruits, enough this. But to us, we're like, oh, we don't have enough of this, enough of that. So it's a mindset, and we've been taught to privatize our things and to have scarcity, and we need to keep our money and our possessions, things like that. But you look at the hunter-gatherers' point of view, before it changed to more agriculture, it's a lot more sharing and loving and abundance and helping each other out. Of course, it's not all our ancestors were not just these utopian people. They still probably faced they still probably act like we do today, but because we're more constricted and our economy and our agriculture limits us, so we've become a lot more opposite to them. But not saying there was some perfect society or perfect people, they weren't, but we have been believed that they were other than that, which is they were worse off than us. So in a section called Stressed to Death, it discusses about sleep and intermittent fasting. The less an individual slept, the more likely he or she was to come down with a cold. Those who slept less than several hours per night were 3 times more likely to get sick. So if you want to live long, sleep more and eat less. To date, the only demonstratively effective method of prolonging mammalian life is severe caloric reduction. Intermittent fasting was associated with more than 40% reduction in heart disease risk in a study of 448 people published in the American Journal of Cardiology, reporting that most diseases, including cancer, diabetes and even neurodegenerative illnesses, are forestalled by caloric reduction. So looking from a ancestor point of view, hunter-gatherer point of view, they didn't know where their next meal was going to be, so they would be hungry, they would sleep more, their levels of stress were low. The only time they had to be active is when they're playing around in their communities or even going out to get food. So life was a lot more chilled. The only thing they had to do was sleep and eat. Even in Ecuador, the tribe I was just talking about, there was no signs of illnesses there, even a study done by someone. So it shows that our modern lifestyle is creating a lot of illnesses. Is going back to those ages, taking a step back? Well, that's perspective, isn't it? It's all perspective. Like, it could be a better thing for us, or is trying to reach this other level where we're trying to conserve more, make more money. And because we've sort of veered off into this economic view and make more money through capitalism, has this then made us the way we are, where we're sort of veering off from our own human nature? But that's something to think about, guys. There you go, guys, that's today's lesson. Hope you've learned something from there. I know I have. And see you guys soon. Peace out.